You're listening to a band of gamers podcasting since 2012. Three older best mates share a few laughs and keep you current with discussions about the latest news, consoles, and games. Join the conversation and the community. abandofgamers.com. Hey!
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome to another episode. Yeah.
I like the singing bits, Shane. I've been enjoying the singing.
It's going to be a fun-filled episode.
I want to hear some songs later on, man.
Oh.
In this episode, Microsoft shocks everyone with a big decision that no one saw coming.
I didn't see it coming.
Pretty sure that's accurate, right? No one saw that coming. It was a lot of shock
Yeah.
when that news hit. We'll talk about that. Will game prices increase with the new systems this fall? We've got an indication they may. Gonna chat up on that. I'm anxious to get these guys' thoughts on that. Who needs E3 anyway? Xbox is doing something pretty cool, I think, in my opinion, bringing the gaming convention to our homes.
Cool.
We'll talk about that. The Last of Us Part 2. Shane and I both played through that game pretty quickly. We both, well, we'll talk about it, whether or not we liked it. Couple easy PlayStation Platinum trophies. What's in our pint glasses? At the end of the show, with a warning, we'll preface it. We'll warn you when we get there. But Shane and I are going to chat up Last of Us Part 2, having both just beat it, maybe share a couple spoilers in there.
Get some fine details for you.
That's right. I want to talk about it. It's a lot to talk about after beating that game. So I'm Joel, your MC, one of your three co-hosts, recording in a suburb of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA. Joining me on this podcast journey, first of all, from lovely Vancouver, Canada. You hear his beer open at the beginning of every show. That's the indication that joining me, no FaceTime, but the people want to Skype me. It's Shane. Hey, Shane, what does that mean?
Hey. Yeah, Vancouver is lovely. It is lovely, and it's lovely this time of year because it was raining a lot for the first week. It was nice to give the plants a drink. Past few days, sunshine, gorgeous, beautiful. We're all in bloom. The human spirit is in bloom in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Great place, man. These are the days why I'm never more proud to be part of the Pacific Northwest and this section of Canada. So there.
You always bring the weather. I think one of these days we'll just pivot to a weather podcast.
Yeah, we could do it.
Yeah. In Birmingham, England, bringing the bass. It's Carl. Hey, Carl.
Oh, yeah. How we doing, guys? That wasn't me opening a beer, by the way. That was actually Shane moving on to his second already. I'm good. Yeah, I've decided to learn something new during this lockdown situation. I thought I might as well buy a bass guitar and have a dabble in something different. Yeah. So I picked it up a couple of weeks ago and I've just been having a little play. A few minutes every day, just 5-10 minutes here, just try and run through scales and things like that. Just get those hands working. You know what I mean?
Well, this is awkward because I actually thought maybe you picked up like bass fishing or something.
Oh, sorry, mate. You've ruined my intro for next episode.
Well, shit. I have literally spent like the past week, like on YouTube, like bass fishing one. I'm not a big outdoorsy guy, but getting prepared for this. And now you're playing bass.
Oh no, it's Sega bass fishing. It's not actually fishing.
Fantastic
game. Yeah.
I'm so desperate for sports. I would talk about some bass fishing right now if you guys want to go there. I mean, I really need some sports here, quick.
I actually have a copy of Super Black Bass on Super Nintendo, still sealed in the box. That's a fantastic Super Nintendo game.
But you haven't played it. It's still sealed.
Right.
Of course, it's Shane. He's got another copy, right?
No, I don't actually. But I keep my eye out for that just in case, man. I can't. When you have a chance to get a sealed Super Nintendo game, and I got a few of them and whatnot. Some of them aren't great. F-Zero is one of them, which is pretty cool. But you can't in 2020 be the one to crack the seal on a sealed Super Nintendo game, right? You know what I mean? Like that's a little bit of sacrilege, right? It's gone this far, 25, 26 years of its life, just chilling Now you're going to go and wake the, Palmer,
Oh, yeah.
and there's like thank you.
I agree. I think it gets to that point where you can't open it. And it just takes that moment. I think, you might be at work, Shane, maybe the missus has got, a couple of buddies around or whatever. And one of them's like,
yeah.
cool, F-Zero, cracks that. And as they open that seal,
Right.
You're at work, just like, and you hear it. It's like, when someone turns that thermostat up, you're like, what? Oh my God, no, someone's ruining the collector's value. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't crack into that. You got to leave that thing sealed for life.
There you go.
Microsoft, getting into the show here. They shut down Mixer. Mixer is their Twitch. It's like a YouTube game streaming equivalent. Specific to Microsoft. They had thrown a lot of money at some guys, right? Ninja, some other people that I don't know their names because I don't care. Sorry, but they threw a lot of money at.
Like 30 million. That kid got 30 million for this, and what it lasted, 6 months maybe.
Yeah, they gave them.
They paid them up in full as well. They were like, we're closing it down. We're paying you all off. Like, wow.
Yeah,
it's the right thing to do. But we're, of course, talking about the exclusivity that they gave Ninja to be on their platform. They gave him a lot of money, like Rogan with Spotify. He only does this podcast on Spotify now because they threw a ton of money at him. There was exclusivity rights to these big, giant, famous streamers. So very shocking and surprising that they shut it down. They shut Mixer down. They did work out a deal with Facebook, everyone's favorite American company, right? Worked out an arrangement there to allow these streamers to take their followers, their fans, and do some streaming over there. I don't even know. What does that mean? Like, hey, you can go on Facebook. Like, couldn't you already go on Facebook? I mean, is it what I don't quite get that
Facebook
deal.
Gaming, it's a weird thing, isn't it? It seems to be mainly something that's used by, by kids and stuff, like just playing mobile games and whatever else. It seems a strange mix, but I guess they've got something up their sleeves, or whether they just thought, this is just too cost prohibitive, to try and compete with Twitch. Twitch is such a monster now that even bringing them big boys across didn't seem to make a difference for them. It's a shame, really. Mixer seems to work quite well, boot up straight from your Xbox dashboard and all the rest of it. It even had that kind of integration in it with Forza, and some cool stuff on there. You watch streams, you earn influence points and things like that. So a bit of a shame. I thought it was quite cool.
I've got some some quotes from Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, with his explanation here. While we're proud of Let me try this again. While we were proud of the community that we had built on Mixer, we weren't achieving the scale goals that we had on our own. We hear it from our streamers. In order for us to have a successful streaming platform for them, we need to have a large audience of viewers that can create the business opportunity for them. So they decided that they weren't accomplishing their goals. They weren't delivering big crowds for these streamers. Just, I think, narrowing their focus, which I don't, I'm not a streamer. I'm not on there. It doesn't hurt me whatsoever, but I know there's a lot of people really upset. I feel bad for them. But I always like when a company has a narrow focus.
I guess if you're a streamer, this kind of thing is going to be a bit frustrating for you, but it does kind of ring home something that I do tell whenever I know friends who wants to be a streamer, and there's a lot of them out there. Everyone wants to do that if they can do it, and I think everyone's got these dreams of making a ton of money from doing it and whatever else. But you have to remember that these companies can do whatever they want. They can, if they want to kick you off the platform, if they want to close the platform, they can do all that. And unless you've signed some deal, like one of these big boy streamers have, you really have nothing you can do about it. It's just one of those things. It's one of the risks you take from trying to make money out of these streaming services.
In other news, we've got some indication that next-gen games are going to cost more. So, was it PlayStation 2? What were we, $49.99? I think back then. Then with the 360 and the PS3, we jumped to $59.99, which was where we stayed with Xbox One and PS4. This is US dollars I'm talking, of course. And then in the next gen here this fall, NBA 2K21 just announced that they're going to be charging $69.99 for their game. They're also going to have a version available on PS4 and Xbox One for the same $59.99 current price. But for the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 version of that game, $69.99. And they're talking about how it offers a premium experience, so it needs to have a premium price. So they're not doing the smart delivery and whatever equivalent PlayStation will probably have for that. They're charging you twice for the same game if you want to have it on both of those systems. But is this an indication that all games for these next systems are going to increase by $10? What do you guys think? An anomaly, just this one game, or is this the beginning of what may all be $69.99 next gen?
I think old Uncle Skip here is going to have to turn to a life of crime, boys. You know, you get these games coming out nowadays. The Kennedy's price. I mean, they're $79 now, jumping up to $89. That's, you know, all the taxes and whatnot. You're already cracking $100 for the latest title and whatnot. So it's personally, I'm so used to paying more. You know, being Canadian and whatnot. Healthcare and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so it's out of good. The rest of the world start paying a little bit more for stuff, Then, people be a little bit smarter with their purchases. What version do I want? Now you're paying your hard-earned money. You're going to have to do a little bit more research and see, start budgeting and start, get a little. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be good.
Hey, Mr. Deep Pockets over there, you're paying $10 more too,
Yeah.
We're not all coming up to your level and you're staying the same. You're also going up 10.
Hey, man, $10 ain't going to make a dent. No, it's, I'm been used to it for the past few years. I think it's been about 3 or 4 years that a lot of the titles have jumped to 79 and whatnot. And you just got to make, do I really need, game X or game Y? I can't get both of them right now. Which one am I going to play today? Versus which one, can maybe wait 6-8 months down the line. I don't have to have it, the first day. I don't have to be the first person to play it. I don't have to be the first person to get out on social media and start spouting my opinions about it. It doesn't matter. Enjoy the game, whether you enjoy it today or whether you enjoy it 10 years from now, you're still enjoying it. It's still the exact same experience.
Well said.
Yeah,
thank you.
Amen.
Wait till it's on sale.
It's all relative, I think, isn't it? Like, generations seem to go through this wave, like, I remember, obviously, back in the day, we actually tweeted out in the week a little picture, the various controllers and sort of say, which console was your first console? And some interesting answers. Obviously, a lot of you guys are our age, and your first kind of consoles were way back, Atari 2600s or Commodores or whatever it may have been. And going back and playing, when you think about those games back then, they were fairly cheap from my memory. It was only when we got into kind of that 16-bit that the prices seemed to go pretty steep. I know in the UK when Street Fighter 2 came out, for example, that was £65.
Yeah, that was a full price game. I remember getting it as well, and I remember getting it in the States. Like our family, went down to the States. I think it was like my birthday. Well, we'll go down to the States or whatever, right? For I don't know, whatever reason, and stopped into a Toys R Us. Now, kids, Toys R Us was a store way generations ago that sold toys and whatnot. And I remember getting it, and it was $59.99. Like, I'll never forget seeing it. And it was like it was so much more expensive. I think a lot of the games were around $49 around that period. But then you would get like the AAA title, and that would have been $59 and whatnot. And Street Fighter 2 was so hot at that time. I mean, it was king of any video games, whether it be in the arcade or now. It was like the first time it was coming into home consoles. It was crazy, and $60 for a Super Nintendo game back then. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. And so for me, it kind of, I don't want to see it. Like, I don't want to obviously see games get more expensive, especially not 65 quid over here. That's a lot of money for one game. But I guess if the game's worth it, like Shane says there, you maybe got to do a little bit more research. And when we were wee nippers, and you had to pick one game, like, oh my god, I can only afford one game, and I've got to go for this one. And there was no internet, there was no online reviews, there was no, sometimes you bought a game for what it looked like on the back of the box, and you were either very, very happy or very disappointed. But it was tough. At least I think we got more information to make informed decisions nowadays. But I think given the build cost of the consoles and all the rest of it, I hope it's not just an excuse for companies to just knock a bit more on top of the price of their games, just in line with the cost of these things. But we'll time will tell. But I did think, while this announcement was made, does this make the streaming services and the things like the Game Pass and PlayStation Now even more important and even more competitive? Especially if you're, we give Microsoft a little bit of stick, I know I do, for launching all their games on Game Pass that when they come out, because there's not many of them. But hey, if those games are 70 quid or $70 or whatever, Game Pass seems like a bloody good idea, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And if a lot of people are shying away from these higher prices and stop buying as many games, could that make the physical format just a thing of the past? I'm taking a giant leap here. I'm not saying this is going to happen quickly. But if games just stop selling, if everyone's like, $69.99 US is too much money, I'm just going to play a Game Pass and PlayStation Now, could those services become that much more relevant? And could the model completely change? Like, why am I going to put a disc out and charge all this money when I can just work with either companies? And in the future, we'll have Amazon and we'll have Stadia, and everybody else will be delivering these subscription-based service games. They could be pushing themselves out of physical media by raising prices too soon, but perhaps.
Yeah, totally could. And do you know what I'd love to see as well? Like maybe with both of these consoles offering you a disc-free version, maybe this will be the generation where digital games are cheaper than physical media. That would be excellent. If these games are just going to be $10 more in a physical format, but the digital version is going to be $10 cheaper, and your console's $50 cheaper. It just, again, it's all about tying you into that ecosystem. You buy the game, you can't trade it. All those things. I'd love if this has that impact. If we see digital games getting cheaper,
that'd be a stealth kill to GameStop. If that were to happen, if these games were $5 to $10 more physical but cheaper digital, GameStop would be done. All video game stores would be done.
Well, I wouldn't lose much sleep over GameStop going under, believe me. But see, Xbox is in a weird situation with that because of the fact that everything comes on Game Pass, day one for exclusives. I mean, I'm generalizing. It's not 100%, but for argument's sake,
all first-party games are 100% on the service.
See, confirmed. You heard it here first, kids. But so why it wouldn't make sense? It doesn't really make sense to raise prices on individual titles $10 when it's already offered up on Game Pass right away, and you're already getting the $60 there as you are now. So they're kind of
for those first party games
situation with it.
Yeah, so like the new Halo wouldn't make sense to charge $69.99 when you can already get it on Game Pass.
And you're already getting on Game Pass, and you're already basically guaranteed to get $60 out of it right away. From the people that aren't on Game Pass, they just want the single game and whatnot. I get it, $10 adds up. But it's a weird situation with them with throwing everything on Game Pass right away.
And who's next to do this, right? EA strikes me as another company that would be like Atari, yeah. The new Asteroids, $69.99.
Right.
I don't know. I'll be curious to see if everybody follows suit. If this is just one game that's going to be more, or if it's going to give.
No, it'll be with everything going on in the world with manufacturing delays and whatnot. Everything is going to be. This is just the first one we're seeing. This is the first one we're seeing. The first one that's kind of been leaked about there. People, the buzz is starting to come around. It's all going up, man. Look at the Switch games. Switch games ain't cheap. Like they're up there, especially up here.
Are they? They're $59.99 here, same as the one in PlayStation 4.
79, and I've even seen it 89 already.
Yeah.
So it's
wow.
Yeah.
The Switch games are just investable, and they never seem to come down in price.
Good. Because like I said, people make smarter purchases. And here's another one. Maybe when you're paying a little bit more, you'll get more value out of the product you've spent more money on. So you won't be as quick to shit all over it. And you actually find some good in it. And you'll actually might have better experiences on things. Just
can't imagine what you're talking about.
A little bit of a tease there for a game we're going to talk about later, or what?
You have to tune in next. What?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward. No, don't do that. You don't want to miss out these next really valuable 10 minutes because you don't want to miss out on what Xbox is doing. Their Summer Game Fest, which is in a couple weeks, July 21st through the 28th. They are going to be bringing early access, as if you were at E3, gaming convention style delivery of demos right to your console. They're saying
that is super cool.
They're saying there's going to be between 75 to 100 titles throughout that week, and it's early code. It's as if you were there at E3, getting your firsthand touch on games that are coming out in a year or so. Not quite sure how far in advance these games are available, when they're going to be coming, but let's just say, a year or two out, you're going to be able to play a level, play a demo. I think this is pretty awesome that they're doing this. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I said that would be really, really cool. I think I'm back on episode like 69 or something. I had mentioned something like, should be able to upload the demos, and then we could all play from home during E3 and whatnot. Or maybe Carl said that. I can't remember.
You had a much thicker British accent back in episode 69. No question.
Yeah, that wasn't me in that accent. That was more British than I am.
Jeez.
I couldn't do that. That's for sure. Some of the games they're telling us that we'll be able to play here early: Destroy All Humans, Haven, Chris Tales, whatever that is, Hellpoint, Skatebird, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, Raji, an Ancient Epic, and Welcome to Elk. And then that's just a couple games that they've said so far, but could this be the end of needing these giant convention-style media events for games when they can just deliver it right to your dashboard, right to the Xbox, right to the console? And your YouTubers out there and us, gaming hobbyists who would do a podcast can share thoughts just like John, Sue, and Billy in the media. They get to go to these events.
And you get that interactive experience right away. It create a lot more buzz for a lot of these titles. And excellent. Superb. And this is really, really cool what Xbox is doing.
Some risk though too, right? Like if there's some bugs or it's not up to snuff compared to what it'll look like in a year or two. Is there any risk with sharing? Come on, you just mentioned a moment ago, Shane, how the internet is just out for people and out for games sometimes, not getting full value, screaming and crying and whining because they didn't get what they wanted out of their video games. Could a game show poorly that turns out to be a great game, and could it hurt itself getting out there in something like this?
Well, was it the Destiny? Because they did like an alpha and then they did a beta, and one of them, if I remember correctly, was kind of crap and people were upset about it. And it turned out, the game turned out to be fantastic, and it's still a large community-based game to this day.
Yeah,
but it's happened before with numerous betas. People play, and they don't care that it's the game's not even finished and whatnot, and just it's trash. It's all full of glitch. Blah.
And also, I think they'll be very selective over what titles they're picking. So, they'll be solid builds, won't they? They'll have bugs in them, sure. But they'll be ones that they're confident with showing. No doubt they would have been there to play on the show floor anyway at E3. So it's no different, really, just giving people the chance. I think it's ace. I think it's a really good thing. It does help create a bit of buzz as well for these new titles. There's nothing like actually getting the chance to play one yourself. Just wish they were doing this on PC as well. I think it's only on the consoles. Guess I'll miss out, or I'll have to buy another Xbox.
And these demos will disappear by the end of the week. So they've got the infrastructure in place on their console to be able to pull them down, not let them work after that week is over. Man, I miss the days. Like early 360 was great at this. PS3 as well I think did a decent job with this. Lots of game demos. We used to get a ton of game demos where we could try the game a little bit before we decided to drop our hard-earned money. I like they're giving some demos out. It's rare these days, right?
Yeah.
For a game to have a demo. What happened to that? Why did that stop?
I remember the Burnout Paradise demo was online as well. And I don't think you could unlock very much, but at least you could get a sense of the game itself, but having that online being active, so you're not just like cruising around on your own and whatnot, and actually, the microphone, everything work, you chat, you could really get a good taste of the community that are big fans of Burnout Paradise. And that's where it started for me. And immediately, went out and picked up the game, and here we are. I've bought it about 6 times since then. So,
and plus you'd get those demo discs as well, with the console or magazines, and and that'd be cool. I remember playing games on there, and again, never ended up buying the full versions of them, but just hammer them demos. Like you could go back and jump in and play through a couple of levels, or one race or two. Good fun.
I remember the District 9 Blu-ray had a demo for God of War on the Blu-ray.
Really?
I mean, it was crazy.
That's a good idea. They should do more of that.
Right?
Or,
should do it with records, though.
You could pre-order your Tony Hawk game, and then you get a demo after you've already paid for it. Demos are dead, man. So nice to see them come back here in proper form before the game's out. Give you a taste. Well, and I time this just perfectly. If you're driving to work, about 25 minutes usually, average commute, you're just pulling in. It's okay now. You can hit pause and come back and listen to the rest of the show of this episode on your way home. But right when you fire up your work computer, just go to iTunes, leave us a review. Give us some stars, give us some rating, leave us a review. If not, just write it on a Post-it note. You get that in your car, right? Or on your lawnmower. You're out for a run right now. You got your Post-it note in your pocket like everybody. Your fanny pack. You got Post-it notes in it. Write yourself a little reminder. Leave us a review. Seriously, we'd really appreciate it. And we'd love to have you join us over on Discord. Lots of conversation going on over there. Find a link to Discord or our Discord in in the show notes and your player there, or on our website. And of course, we also like emails. We're old. We do the emails. abogpod@gmail.com. Or if you'd like, you could send us a letter. We got a P.O. box. You can write us a letter, right? If you're even older school than email, throw a demo in there, send it to us.
If you do write a letter, please use old wordy English as well. Dearest ABOG. I'd love that.
No, I gotta go check our P.O. box on occasion. Gosh darn it. All right.
Imagine somebody's mowing the lawn listening.
Yes.
Got the mower going. All of a sudden slams out of that. Skippy says I need to pay more for video games, so then I'll stop bitching.
Yeah.
The wife said, why have you stopped mowing the lawn? I've got to leave an iTunes review. I'll be back in 10.
Right? Just leave that Briggs and Stratton going. Or some good old-fashioned Toro,
I think we'll buy you a beer if you stop the lawnmower and go leave us a review. Just let us know in the review. We'll send you a beer somehow. Shane will show up with a cooler.
It's like the beer genie. You just crack a beer, then there he is. Wanted me to spend more on it.
Oh, good news. My cat woke up and decided to caterwaul at the top of his lungs. Wonderful.
Rip.
Hey, Carl, while I go take this cat and throw him upstairs gently, carry him up the stairs. That came out wrong.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your couple games here before Shane and I then get into The Last of Us Part 2?
Of course I can. So, I've been trying to hit this backlog up. Lockdown has been an interesting time. Lots of time saved, no commuting. So I'm like, I need to get this sorted. So I jumped into Forza Horizon 4, one that we talked about at the end of last year, and it was like, I really need to be getting back into this game. So I jumped back in. Of course, it's in England as well. So I'm like, I can't go anywhere. Might as well, poodle along the motorways and stuff and see what I can do. So I went through, I finished all the showcase events. I drove down every road. There were 2 barn finds I couldn't seem to find those ones. I don't know whether I just needed to maybe drive around a little bit more, but 22 hours on the clock on this one. I can always go back and do a little bit more if I want to, but I'm counting this as done now. I've done the showcase events and I've been everywhere. Surprisingly, when I got to the end of this, I wasn't burnt out on it. I was still like, I'd still be down for a bit of this if anyone's in multiplayer and things like that. So, still very, very fun. And that game's beautiful as well to look at, getting on the PC, and I can turn the sound off and just have tunes on, my own tunes. And it's a great game for when you're multitasking as well. So, enjoyed that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I've knocked down 12 games so far this year now, with a little mixture of new ones I've picked up, 5 from the backlog, 3 easy plats, and 4 games that I've picked up this year as well. So I'm kind of sticking to my, only picking up a game once I've finished one from the backlog, which is pretty good. So,
well done,
the
man.
game I've been playing quite a lot of with the boy is a Valorant, and this is kind of like me and him, not seeing each other as much as we would want to. It's like, we'll jump in and play some games. And we go through all these FPS games. We've done a load of Overwatch, and then we've done a load of Fortnite and Apex, and the other games are that ilk, really. And Valorant's kind of a new one from Riot Games. It's been in I guess you could call it a kind of open beta for a little while. It's been kind of exclusive to Twitch streamers. They've been giving away keys and things like that. And finally went live about, I think, 3 weeks ago, and we jumped in and played quite a lot. It's interesting because it's PC only, and you have to download their clients and play to it on there. It's completely free to play, and it's a 5v5 shooter with permadeath in it. So when you die in the round, you're dead till the end, and it's very much like Counter-Strike, and but with kind of Overwatch characters, like with all these crazy moves and stuff on it. It is PC only, and it's mouse and keyboard only. So I've had to go back and pick up the old mouse and keyboard reins, and it took me a little bit of a while to get back into that, to get used to it. But I'm not sucking. I'm doing pretty well. Like, we've been playing with him, and Luke's saying to me like, "Dude, you're carrying the team," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So. It's
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The reflexes, almost 42. The reflexes aren't quite shot, yes, but a lot of fun. This game, it's really polished, like already. Good fun maps. They're quite compact, but there's plenty of places to kind of hide and stuff. And it's just a great, fun time. It's for a free game. If you're on PC and you play this kind of game anyway, no doubt you're already playing it. If you're looking for something a little bit different to your Overwatches and all the other stuff, then give it a go. It's pretty fun. Some unique kind of game modes. It's 5v5, but the one side of the team can plant like this thing called a spike, which is basically like a bomb that will detonate. So if your 4 buddies have been killed, but you're carrying this bomb, if you can set it and then hide, the other team have to deactivate it, regardless of if they kill you or not. They've got to deactivate that bomb to win. So yeah, there's a bit of tactics in there, but I've been digging that game, and it's really, really, really fun. I just hope Luke wants to play more of it, because I've started unlocking the other characters now. The more you play, the more you unlock the other guys. So I'm no doubt he'll be turning around to me now that Fortnite's started again, and been like, "Yeah, come on, Dad, we'll play some Fortnite now the new season's up and running." So yeah, we'll see. Tune in next episode to find out.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Teamwork. I like games that force teamwork, not just the kill fests. Team deathmatch.
Absolutely. It's kind of cool because you get like a specific amount of money at the start of each round. So you can buy one pistol, say one pistol, one SMG, one assault rifle, or one heavy weapon, and some shields. If you can afford it, and you kind of have to split your money depending on what you want to buy. But if you get through a round without dying, if you stay alive, you keep everything you had before, and you've got a bit more money to spend. So it's pretty tactical. Liking it.
The Last of Us came out on PlayStation 3. They remastered it on PS4. Widely regarded, very highly acclaimed game. Everybody loved The Last of Us. I never heard anybody complain. It seemed like a very highly regarded video game. So it was with a lot of anticipation that part 2 was coming out. And we got to see a little bit of a trailer teaser, a couple years ago? Sony's presser. I think that's the one where they had the live orchestra. They had that room at E3 with the live orchestra that they had for that. Everybody went nuts. Like, yes, more Last of Us.
Before that, I think it was like a year before that, there was that teaser, and it was just a clip of like Joel walking into the room and Ellie sitting on the bed playing guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's it. Then it was just like faded to black or whatnot, and everybody loses their mind. And then, like Joel was saying, then there's Joel, the Band of Gamers Joel, not Last of Us. Joel was saying there was that clip at E3 with the orchestra and whatnot. So there.
Yeah, and then they showed like a pretty long clip there with Ellie and kissing a girl and a little bit of controversy. But everybody was excited. At least that was my take. A lot of people anxious for this game. What's shocking me and surprising me a little bit here is the polarization of this game. I've even had friends text me like, "Have you played this yet?" Because my friends are saying it's really great, and other friends are saying it's really horrible. And I'm seeing this in social media too. And you guys were talking about it before we hit record. But there are really mixed feelings for this game. What's going on? Shane and I played through it, and we'll talk about it here in a moment. But any idea why there's this mixed? I don't get it. Spoiler: it's a great game. What's going on? Why is it this love it or hate it situation with this game?
I think primarily because people are entitled and have a bloody good moan about something that they're not into. People seem to think they have a divine right on how a story is going to turn out, on how what's going to happen, and if it doesn't go just as they want it to, then people have the outrage. We've seen it with the movies. We've seen it with Star Wars when it was rebooted. All right, these new movies, like they're not really what I would have wanted, but they're still not decent movies. They're not like dog shit, and people deserve to die for making them. But this is what people on the internet like to do. So I don't get it personally. I'm probably one of the lead. Naughty Dog. This is probably arguably their second best franchise after Uncharted. Certainly, I think Uncharted's better. But
I know you don't like zombies, and I was a little bit worried about this conversation because I know we were going to bring it up and we're going to talk about it. And there's quote unquote zombies infected.
I'm good with
and
zombies.
I know you don't like. I know, I get it. You don't like it. It's cool. I like things that you don't like.
I don't like stealth. I ain't into the stealth games, but I did play a chunk of the first Last of Us game, and I think the story really grabbed me. The story was pretty brutal, pretty engaging. It never grabbed me enough to play through it to the end, but it is a game that I'm sure I will get to it at some point. So the sequel was not really high on my agenda, but I've just sat back and watched people, some people just waxing lyrical over it, some people just destroying it. Yeah. You two are my most trusted comrades. How have you found it? Like, just what's the game been for you?
It's great, man. I love it. I could not peel myself away from it. I'm not the kind of guy to tear through a game, especially one this long, probably 25 hours maybe it took me to get through it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And I would play it in the morning before work, kind of like my regular routine. But I was also like staying up late. I don't usually do that with a video game. Putting some time in. And then when the weekend rolled around here, it's a holiday weekend here in the States, the 4th of July weekend. I spent 2 almost full days on the couch, beautiful weather outside. I felt guilty. Like I need to be outside. I need to be outside. I can't, these guys know me well enough to know I can't sit still for more than like an hour. You know, I just can't. So being a gamer sometimes is I'm not your typical gamer. I don't sit for these long marathon sessions, but I could not put this game down. I spent 2 8-hour days with this game on a beautiful weekend. That's how like captivated I was with it.
That really says a lot because you like being outside when the weather turns. The consoles they start collecting dust in your home. I know that takes a lot. That is saying a lot. Like believe you me, like that's Joel doesn't do that. He doesn't sit there and spend an entire day playing a video game, let alone 2 on a summer long weekend. Like there's your testament of how good this game is.
What'd you think of it, Shane?
I think it's fantastic. It's incredible. Everything about it was it just seems so well done. You know, the level design. There was times in the beginning where, I felt like I was lost. I didn't know, if I'm kind of on the right path. There's no mini map. There's no compass. The game is, it's, a bit linear. It's telling a story. You got to get to certain points, but there's parts where I felt like I was going the wrong way, and it turned out I was on the right path. And that happened a few times with just how well the environment was designed. There's little, crevices to get into that'll take you, down the back road of a different street and whatnot. And it's like, am I even going? Like, okay, I know I need to get there, but like, and you just end up, it's so easy to just start exploring stuff where you kind of shouldn't be exploring, but it's there for you to explore. Like, it's just,
yeah.
Those aspects of it were just so, I just thought were really, really well done. Just some great design.
Yeah, it's linear to a point, but then you're in Seattle at some point in the game, and it feels more open world. I mean, you're within a boundary. You can't get too far. It's not that open world. It's not like Red Dead or The Witcher or Legend of Zelda where you can go off over the mountains and everything else. But within that city, almost every building you can go in, and you don't need to go in those buildings. But I felt like I wanted to go into every nook and cranny of these buildings of this game just because it's so well designed, like Shane said. Plus, there's a little bit of an RPG light aspect to it with crafting weapons, crafting ammo. You can upgrade your character. You can upgrade your weapons. And by grabbing the little bits in all of these buildings gives you more loot to go and to craft and to better your character so that when you get into these tough battles, you're more prepared. It's like you're building up your character. It's definitely RPG light, but your exploration is rewarded with additional crafting materials that you can use to make your character better, make your weapons better. So it's not only like enjoyable to check out these different spaces, but you get a reward for doing it. And there's little notes everywhere, and there's little like pieces of paper left behind with a lot of little separate storylines and things that you can discover if you want to spend the time with it, reading all these little notes and stuff that are around. And there's some collectibles as well. Very story-driven game. Carl mentioned Naughty Dog and Uncharted. It has a story at that level. I haven't played the latest Uncharted game, but I thought the story in this game was incredible. It was so well written. It was like a good book. I just couldn't put it down. It wasn't I love the gameplay, but what kept me glued to the seat for 2 full days and a beautiful weather outside days is that story. I had to see what was going to happen next.
The story.
Yeah.
The way they tell that story, it kind of throws you around. You're going kind of back and forth. There's, some flashback moments, and those I found were so perfectly timed where it was like, okay, all right, once I get through this section, I'm going to take a break. I didn't want to get burned out from the game. There's some great games that, like Horizon Zero Dawn, I went too far in too soon, those 2 8-hour, days in a row on a weekend. And then it's like by Monday, it's like, okay, I'm burnt out. So I took my time through the first, bit of this, and there'd be times where, I'd get through it, and then all of a sudden there'd be like this, kind of like a flashback moment and whatnot. And it's like, oh, okay, I got to see this. I got to get through. Let me just get through this part, and then back to normal. Okay, I can fire that up tomorrow or whatnot, and keep going. So I thought the pacing of the game and the way they told that story was just, it's so well done. Like just really, really well thought out.
Yeah, we're being careful here to not share any spoilers, but there's some certain aspects that in that story that I wish I could talk about but by doing so would be revealing too much. But I really liked the way they crafted, let's say, that story and the way they delivered it. You can't talk about this game without mentioning the beautiful world. The graphics, I guess, are just amazing in this game. You can tell it's the end of a console generation, or they're getting the full potential out of the PlayStation 4. The difference between a game like this and something that came out at launch, you can just see how they now can they've perfected the development and understand the capabilities of the PlayStation 4. No first party studio. They definitely know the console, and I'd say it's one of the most beautiful looking games I've ever played. Definitely the crowning achievement, swan song type of game on the PlayStation 4. As we're getting ready here to go into a PlayStation 5, it makes me realize that I could take a few more games like this before I need that PlayStation 5. I mean, it's really a beautiful game. Specifically the emotions and like the facial expressions of the characters in this game. Unbelievable. There's no like uncanny valley feel. They look like real actors in this game. When you stealth kill, you choke out a bad guy, and you see the look of death and horror on their face. It's like you almost feel bad, like, oh, I just killed somebody. And the game does really great with the imagery through those emotions. It's a brutal game and brutal imagery. It's gruesome. It's tense. It's bloody.
It's dark.
It's very dark.
It's a very dark, yeah.
That's actually something I wanted to ask the two of you about, because obviously we've got a situation in the world right now where, things aren't wonderful. We all know. And how did you find one of the things that put me off this game, not put me off, but made me just not really an interest in playing it, was the subject matter and how brutal it was, and how just, primal, and the combat was, the executions, some of the cutscenes, some of these things just seem so kind of, I don't know, all involving to play. Like, how did you feel about the intensity of it?
I think that had it originally come out back in May, which would have been, kind of like right, in the middle, it was very smart to delay it a month or whatever, just to get over that initial panic, scared, it's things are changing in the world, there's infected. It was really, really smart of them to just hold off a month and whatnot, because stuff like this, I mean, it like Joel said, it brings out a lot of emotion, and those, when, the whole COVID was going down, I mean, you saw the mass panic, you saw, all this stuff, like what's going to be next? Do you got to put a, red X on your front door if somebody there's contracted COVID, the possibility, because, this is not even a once in a lifetime thing. This is once in like 2 or 3 lifetimes, something like this happens, right? Nobody knows and whatnot. So I think it was, personally, I think it was smart to just push it off a little bit, get over that, worldwide mass panic or whatever we had for, the first, few weeks at least there. And I think that helped a lot. I didn't really think a whole lot about, the state of the world and people being sick and whatnot at all playing through this. It was enough time to kind of separate that. Whereas had I played it, that week or the weekend when everything was getting shut down, it might have affected me a little bit differently.
Yeah, and there's infected in here as for an enemy type, but it's not really a parallel to what we're going through in the world right now. The world is so far gone in The Last of Us that it's like the world's demolished from infection. It's not like the current situation where we're just at the beginning of something that we're gonna overcome this.
Or like it was in the first game.
Personally, I think the world right now is very difficult. I'm frustrated with some of the leadership. I'm frustrated with the spike and the fact that we can't get through this quick enough. I'm frustrated that we may have to wait for a vaccine to fix everything, that this could linger on for a while longer. But I found that this game was a perfect escape for me. Because when I was playing this game, I kept thinking, wow, we think it's screwed up in the world right now. They've got it really bad in this game. This is way worse. It actually kind of cheered me up a little bit. Like, oh, okay. This isn't that bad. This isn't that bad compared to what they're going through in this game. Now that's bad.
It's almost like an escape.
Totally. And I love the gameplay loop. To me, the gameplay is excellent. I know that's one of the gripes from the first game, but I like the gameplay in this game more than I liked it in the first game. And I've heard a lot of people say they're playing it through on easy just to enjoy the story. But I would say the gameplay itself is, it's challenging, but it's reasonable. I played through it on moderate, which is like your default difficulty. It's like normal, the normal setting. And there were a few times where I'm like, did I make the right decision? It got a little difficult. The last game I played through on easy. I went back and looked at my trophies. I forgot I had to bump it down. But I really love the action segments. You can get completely overwhelmed by enemies. You're fighting both infected and humans in different factions. Lots of good enemy variety in the game. Different styles to taking down different factions and the different types of infected. But you have choices between whether you can kind of stealth through an area, you can sneak past an area and not really engage any enemies, or you can stealth kill. You can sneak up, grab someone, choke them out, hide the body, or kind of take them to a spot where they're not going to get discovered. Or you can go in full guns blazing, but there's limited ammo. So they build a decent bit of tension. Not Resident Evil, not like you want to rip your hair out, you're super frustrated and you're all upset because you got zero ammo, but to the point where you usually are almost running out. So then it makes you make some fun decisions, I guess, trying to get through these sections, and you get killed quite a bit until you figure out the best approach to get through each of these battles. Sometimes it's a couple bad guys, and sometimes it's a lot of bad guys. But I loved the gameplay loop, the challenge, and it was so rewarding to get through each section, even when it was challenging.
Yeah, it totally is. And I like stealth. I enjoy that. I liked the fact that it's the stealth parts you can distract. And I know this, the first game was all like that, with your bricks and bottles and whatnot. That is such a great addition to being stealth, to just be able to distract. And there's a few sections where I know full well you got 6 enemies on the screen. I know where they are. There's 2 down here. Okay, I got 1 on the second floor there. Okay, looks like there's 2 there behind the van and whatnot. And being able to get through that without killing anyone, for me, was really satisfying. Like, it felt like that's how it's done. Like just challenging myself to get through those parts and to be just extra stealth and, find that, okay, well, let's do there's some long grass there. All right. And just work at little things like that. That's where I, really enjoyed and had a great time with this one.
Yeah. And the enemies are smart. Like if you take somebody down stealthily and they find the body, they're just like, hey, over here. And they're all like, all of a sudden they just overwhelm you. And I thought it was very well designed, very reasonable, very reasonable. It felt like there was a lot of thought that went into where those guys were positioned, like Shane was talking about. And the different, you have a choice with how you can approach those situations. There isn't one way. You pick. But it may take a little while longer if you want to stealth, if you want to go in there and kick the crap out of everybody with your guns, but then you may run out of ammo. So then you got to use your shiv. You got to use an axe. Speaking of which, the weapons are great. You can do like exploding arrows, and there's some pipe bombs and Molotov cocktails. You can blow people into chunks.
Those tripwires, setting a couple of those up because you know the route that this guy's taking, when he's on patrol. You set that, buddy.
I blew up somebody with an exploding arrow, and there was chunks of dude on the floor. Chunks. It's just a gruesome game. Not one you're going to play with the kids around.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I loved it. I loved it, man. I thought it was very, very good game. But I put it up there. I've had a good year. God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, man.
This... what am I going to play next? After those 3 games, it's like I'm spoiled rotten with just great game. I don't know what I'm going to do. Looking at my shelf, like none of these games are that good.
Right? Time to enjoy your summer.
There you go.
Wait.
Get some more sunburn.
That's it. 2020 completed.
Rip.
But yeah, there's some things in the story there where I could see where people would be a little disappointed or upset. You get attached to characters and some things happen, but we'll talk about that a little bit later in some spoiler chat. Before we get there, though, we have a couple easy PlayStation Platinum trophies. All right, guys? You guys got really high numbers on that PlayStation. I don't. Give us some more to get that number higher.
Trying, man. Trying. We got first one up, Concept Destruction. Basically, it's like a demolition derby, kind of not really a racing game, but a demo derby where the cars are made out of cardboard and they're all battery powered. So it's kind of cool little art style, kind of neat little concept. Not the greatest game, a little bit clunky at times. Sometimes they can be hard to steer when you got to get into tight areas. But I still had fun with it. Enjoyable, super easy. Probably take you, maybe half hour easy platinum there. Concept Destruction. Pretty cool. And then the other one I did was FoxyLand. Now there's 2 games in that series. I guess you could call it a series. I don't know. There's FoxyLand and there's FoxyLand 2. Well, I played the first one. Fun little platformer. Really neat. Got to get through, I think, about 20 levels, I think you do for the platinum. Super easy, fun, enjoyable, and it's a plat too. So you can get it also on the Vita as well as your PlayStation 4, which I did. Both of them playthroughs, probably 20 minutes, half hour. Super easy, but super fun, and a couple new shiny platinums. Now, I've noticed with basically the death of the Vita, and now they're not making any more Vita games. A lot of games aren't having that plat anymore.
Oh no!
Cross-buy. So yeah, the past few Radalika games haven't had that Vita action going down with it. So kind of sad to see that we're gonna lose on getting those Vita plats, but still, FoxyLand, great game, and I've heard good things about the sequel as well, which is supposed to be pretty similar. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get brave and try to do that one too.
It's a bit of a shame that they are losing that plat. It was only a matter of time, though, I suppose, wasn't it? But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer.
Nice to see the Vita make an appearance, quite a few appearances in The Last of Us Part 2. That game is set in 2013, I think, is the time frame for that storyline, and there's lots of Vita action.
Yes,
which is really great.
Really, really cool. Those little Easter eggs throughout the game that you come across, that's so cool.
Well, before we get to chatting a little bit more in the spoiler territory with Last of Us, let's talk about what we're drinking. What do you guys got in your pint glasses? Carl, you want to get it started? Because Shane just ran off.
We did a runner. Yeah, this is really good, so I'm actually about to open the second one live on air. I'm drinking, it's a BrewDog brew, no surprise there. they've done a lot of collaborations this year and last year, and they had a special one. We've had some shenanigans going down with our government during this coronavirus outbreak. So one of the guys we've got here is like an advisor to the Prime Minister, an advisor to Boris Johnson, and basically he ignored all of his own advice and buggered off with his family up north somewhere, and it was kind of like, my kid's a bit sick, and I think we've got symptoms of COVID, so we kind of need to isolate. Now, of course, he did what any normal person would do, and he had to come back to London, obviously, to brief the PM and to do his job. And he didn't really know if he was fit to drive. So what he did was what we would all do, if we're wondering if we can actually drive, is get behind the wheel for an hour and go on a bit of a day trip with the family.
Yes.
So obviously during lockdown, when he's not allowed to do so, he went to a place called Barnard Castle, and took his wife and his kid, and potted around there for a bit. Yeah, and much to the furore of the English public. So, BrewDog, in their whimsical usual style, they created a special edition beer called the Barnard Castle Eye Test, which I'll hold the can up to my colleagues here. And as you can see, the lettering on the can, the wording on it, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Like if you went to an optician's and you could read that board over there. So this is one of these that they did, and they just sent an email, said, look, we're brewing a batch, go and buy it, and then we'll let you know when it's brewed and ready for dispatch. So worked out quite well. 12 cans of this was about 17 quid, and they're only the little 330ml jobs, but it pours real beautiful. It's a hazy 6%. But it's ever so tasty. Kind of reminds me, obviously, it's similar to a couple of their other brews, but it's damn good. You probably can't get it anymore. It wasn't just brewed for a limited thing, but I thought I had to share it with my co-hosts here and you guys, just because it's just a whimsical kind of jab at the British government right now. But it's a damn fine beer as well, boys.
Nice. Sure looks pretty good.
I'd say.
What you got, Shane?
I have, and this is from obviously a local brewery, Four Winds Brewing. Four Winds at our backs, boys. They're a great little brewery, rather new one, only a handful of years old. It's actually not too far from my work. For all those stalkers that like to follow me and whatnot.
Yeah, you get a lot of those.
Topic for another show. Who you are. So they did a West Coast IPA. Now this is a tribute West Coast IPA. Four Winds is a family-run brewery, the Mills family out here. And like there's 3 or 4 brothers, and their old man passed away not too long ago. So they did a tribute beer, and their old man ran a paint, like industrial paint company, Mills Painting, and he was a big home brewer. Would always just like those guys are, if you know much about home brewing. And they decided to sell their paint shop and start a brewery. And they started up with Four Winds. They've won. They're 2-time, I believe, at least 2-time Canada's best brewery. A lot of praise. They do a lot of great work. Greg Mills, the old man, just one of the nicest guys. Met him numerous times. I know the guys down there. Great stuff. So they did a tribute for Greg. This is their Greg West Coast IPA. He was a big West Coast IPA fan. Welterweight, 6.5%, very piney. This is a Joel Scherfinski classic. This is definitely something I know you would enjoy, my brother. And it's just a great beer, a great tribute, and from a great brewery. So just a triple deadly there. Can't go wrong with it.
Awesome. Sounds really good. I've got a lager, as you do in the summertime, right?
Yep.
Drink a little lighter, a little crisper beer in the heat. So my guy over at 1840, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, brewed up a new lager. It's called Gone to Carolina.
Oh.
because it is malted, or it's brewed with malted Carolina Gold rice from Sugar Creek Malting in Indiana. Crisp and drinkable, it says. They make a good lager at 1840, and my stepdad my mom really enjoy their lagers. Took one over there for some social distancing barbecue a couple weeks ago. Drank them all up. They're like, man, they've been just asking like every week, like, what? Can you get more of them lagers? Like, no, I can't. They
right.
1840 does a small barrel, small batch. Once it's gone, it's gone. And then a couple weeks ago, 1840 hinted they're making another lager. Got a hold of my parents. I'm like, there's another lager. They're like, let us know. We want to buy some. So I ended up buying a bunch of these lagers, giving them to my parents. Only kept 4 for myself. Haven't tried it yet.
Nice.
So this is my first taste of this new 1840 lager. Let me see here. Look at that. It's
crisp.
Very light, crisp color. I'm using a lager glass because,
looks refreshing.
Because I'm a dork.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Good.
Yeah. It's a lager. It's a good lager. Very, very drinkable. I should go out in the 90-degree heat and finish this off.
Yes, sir.
That's what you do. Well, cheers, guys. We raise our glasses to Greg there at 4 wins.
Brew some great beers over the years. Fantastic stuff. And, the boys carrying on with a great legacy going forward in beer of all things. So
cheers.
Cheers. And cheers to you for listening. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. If you haven't done so, jump into our Discord with us. We got a new guy over there, Robson Rudd. Thanks for joining, Robson. We'd love to have you there with us as well for some more conversation. We share our beers. We share our records. Lots of great birds, owls.
Everything.
Yeah. It's all over there. Of course, we talk some games, food. Just come hang out with us. Join the community. Be great to have you. We'd love to have you there.
Yeah. We can, and I see people on social media. I see some of you having all these tasty brews. Come and let us know. Tell us what you're drinking. Tell us what's been real good for you this year. We'll see if we can source it. We'll see if we can get a hold of a couple of cans and maybe drink them ourselves on the show.
That'd be nice. Well, thank you for listening. If you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 yet, and you plan on playing it, and you don't want it to get spoiled at all, this is the point where you would leave. So thanks for listening. See you later. For those of you who want to talk and hear more about The Last of Us, especially if you've played through it and you're interested in some of the plot twists and turns, Shane and I are going to talk as if we were getting together here and chatting on our favorite recent game that we played.
Yeah.
That has a lot of really wild, interesting twists and turns. I'm curious to get Shane's thoughts. So, due warning, you're entering spoiler territory. I told you. I warned you. Don't get mad at me. You've been warned. You can leave
if we had
now.
A klaxon, it would have gone off.
That's right. All right, here we go. Spoilers.
Yeah. So what do you really think?
Yeah, red bastard.
So one of the biggest spoilers in this game is you're playing as 2 characters. You start off as Ellie, but then very quickly on, you're playing as Abby, which when it first happened, I thought it was like a tutorial thing. Like, oh, what a neat way to teach you some of the controls by having you control a different character, not making Ellie do weird things just so they could teach you the controls that are outside of the story and don't feel right. We'll hop it over to Abby. You can learn some things with her, and then we'll throw you back to the main story. What I didn't realize is that midway through the game, after you're pretty far into Ellie's storyline, to the point where she is held at gunpoint, you're at a pivotal moment in the game. Seems like the end, or could be. They flip back to Abby. And mind you, Abby is the one who points the gun at Ellie's head. So she's holding her at gunpoint. At this point in the game, I'm all about Ellie. That's my girl.
Yeah.
I want Ellie to get whatever she's got to do to take care of Abby and to get out of that situation. When then they flip the script. They take you back to the beginning 3 days earlier, where you sort of start the game with Ellie. Oh, and Abby, by the way, kills Joel. Kills him. So one of the main characters of the series is killed pretty quick in the game by Abby.
Really?
Yeah.
With a
tutorial.
With a golf club.
Press X to swing.
Takes an iron, a golf iron, to Joel. Brutally kills him right in front of Ellie. Ellie's on the ground.
Yeah, people. I mean, I tried my damnedest to stay away from any sort of spoilers and whatnot, but I knew that was happening. I had no idea when. So when it did go down, it's like, oh shit. Like the timing of it was just, I mean, okay, what's going to happen? Let's get it out of the way. And this is partly where how they tell the story was really, really well done, in my opinion. And getting that out of the way early. All right, it's done. Now we're going to continue on, and we're also going to build up to that point, which I thought was really well done.
Yeah, that sets off the beginning of the game there, where Ellie is now trying to find Abby and Abby spares Ellie, spares Tommy as well, Joel's brother, spares them. And I was wondering, why did they not kill Ellie and Tommy as well? And they explain this as the game goes on. But Ellie and Tommy survive after Joel gets murdered. The bad guys, if you will, and Abby are gone, and Ellie sets out to seek revenge. Her whole existence is to find Abby and to avenge Joel's death. She's just completely upset, shaken to her core, and her whole purpose at this point is to hunt down Abby. So she gets all the way to a point where she's able to confront Abby. She doesn't find her. Abby actually finds Ellie. It's kind of a weird twist as well. She gives up. Like, okay, you've taken this way too far. You're not going to find her. We've got to get on with normal business, with our lives. Will you let it go? She's like, I'll let it go. Then all of a sudden, Abby's there, and Abby's got her at gunpoint. And that's when the story flips. Now you're back it rewinds 3 days, and now you're playing as Abby. And I was irritated. Like, I don't want to play Abby. I hate Abby. She killed Joel. She's got Ellie at gunpoint. It was painful. Like, emotionally painful to play Abby at this point. They're going to make me play Abby. Like, I just felt, damn it. Yeah. But the cool thing is that I fell for Abby as well.
Yeah.
You start to learn who Abby is, and they tell you that Abby, the reason she killed Joel, which at first I thought was because of the end of Last of Us 1, what happens, where Joel saves Ellie being immune, Ellie potentially in a position to save the entire world with her blood or whatever, the discovery in her body of why she's the only one who's immune potentially. That's why she kills Joel, right? Well, you blew it for everybody, all of humanity. You deserve to die. That's not why she killed Joel, though. She killed Joel because Joel killed her father, which is a hell of a plot twist at that point.
And I get that. You know, the vengeance, revenge. You know, it's a big tale about revenge and forgiveness. And I get that. Okay, well, this person killed my father. Well, fuck you. I'm going to find you. I get that. But then you add on, this is the one chance we had to kind of turn the world around and, you know, be rid of this, you know, infection. And, you know, like, and I started to think of like, you know, what if there is a, you know, like a global pandemic or something that happens and it's down to one person and one person decides to stop any chance of moving forward and ridding the planet of some sort of fucking disease or something. You'd want to fucking rip that person to shreds, you know? Oh, and he also killed my father. Like, there's a lot of fucking rage in that. Like, I get that, and I really liked, as soon as it flipped over and started playing as Abby, I'm like, oh shit, okay. Now the bar's officially open. All right, something is fucking going on. And I thought it was, I really liked that, because I knew, okay, now we're going to get into like why. Now you're going to start to unravel this part of the story that you're not expecting, and and go on from there.
And then so you fell for Abby, as I'm sure you probably did as well, Shane. They craft that story in a way that Abby's very likable. Even after she kills Joel, you come to appreciate her motivation, which, by the way,
you start to see that human side.
Yeah, and you play 3 days of Ellie, and Ellie's motivation is revenge. You killed my father figure, revenge. And then you realize, well, Abby did the exact same thing that Ellie did. Tried to avenge who killed her father. It's the same, it's like a very parallel motive between the two. And then once you realize that, and they make Abby very likable for a lot of other reasons. Like one of the factions, the Scars, is what the nickname for them. I forget the proper name, because they only say it a few times for what they call that faction. Starts with an S.
Yeah, Seralites. Something along those lines, sorry.
Something like that, yeah. But those are enemies that Abby actually gets into a situation where her life is threatened, and these two enemies are also in a threatened situation, because there's many different factions or gangs of like groups of people in this game, and they kind of all are fighting each other. So it just so happens that one of the enemies is in the same situation, or two enemies, a young girl and a young boy, and Abby are stuck in a situation. And Abby ends up working together with basically the enemy throughout the game, these Scars. And she just has a really soft human side. Abby also, though, I thought this was really interesting. She is a very buff woman. I mean, she's got biceps that, I could work towards. She's a buff woman. She's very strong.
There's that great line on one of the communication channels late in the game, when Ellie's, decides to, go looking for Abby again. And there's a great line that comes over. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's her. She's built like an ox. And that line is just so great. And I kind of attached to that line a little bit. I'm like, fuck yeah, she is. Like, holy crap, dude. It's like almost cartoony, like how just like her arms are just like, whoa. Like,
yeah, she's one of these ladies you'd see like in a muscle fitness magazine. She's got that thick of a muscle like style of body. Very different from your typical female lead character, where they're very skinny, attractive, great skin. They always make it so the guys get attached. Us nerdy dudes are like, oh, she's so beautiful. Abby is like, she's got the chin. She's kind of like a chiseled chin. She's just giant arms. Has a testosterone attitude even at times. Very different style of character. I thought give him a lot of respect for doing that.
It totally makes sense as well, though, doesn't it? If you think her mission is one of revenge. So, and given the world that they live in as well, she's going to be like, right, and you see this montage a million times in like a male-led action movie where the dude's like beat him down, and he's like, fucking Rocky's a prime example, just working out, I've got to, I'm going to be the fittest, strongest version of me that I can be. And
the picture up on the wall, like the dartboard with somebody's head in there, and they're just popping like,
So
I can see her doing that. Yeah,
totally get what she's driven, absolutely driven to. She knows it was a guy that killed her dad, so she knows that she needs to be, built and capable of taking him down, depending whenever that time comes. I think it was really clever of the way that they did the writing for this, and I've watched the scenes and stuff. I haven't played it, but when Joel meets Abby for and saves her for that first time, and it kind of lets the guard down a little bit, which I found really interesting. And he's like, saves her. They kind of go back with her, and this unfolds. I don't know if you talk about this or not, but that I thought was really, really quite a clever bit of writing, because it does kind of seem like a natural thing, and for her to not even have kind of a flicker of emotion about someone who's literally just saved her life. It all adds up to the kind of character that they built, and the physical specimen that she was as well. Like with just how driven she would have been.
Yeah, great point. I didn't think of it that way. She's just one of these people who's just works out a lot. But like that's a great point. That motivation that gives her that motivation to work out and to become so strong.
And then to beat up, and it's like, there he is. This is my chance. Like, this is my one fucking chance, and yeah, good shout on that, Carl.
But then you're playing Abby, and you know where it's going. It's going right to it's going to lead up right to that point where she's got Ellie in her gun sights, but still craft the story and make it interesting to get you to that point. By the time I got to that point, I mentioned when I first met Abby, I hated her. But by the time I got to the point where Ellie and her are at, a difficult situation where one of those two may die, I didn't know which one. I thought that they might make me choose. Like, if the game makes me make the decision on if I'm going to shoot Ellie, maybe I will. Maybe I'll side with Abby. It's so well written that I loved both characters, and I was hoping that I wouldn't get in a situation where they both would have to fight or battle or shoot at each other. But gosh darn it, that's what happens. That happens later in the game.
Yeah. I'm just remembering that it's a great scene, and Abby's got Dina, Ellie's girlfriend, for lack of a better term, at that point of the game, is basically got her with a knife to her throat, ready to do her in and whatnot. And there's Lev, the character that Abby has helped out for the past X amount of hours of gameplay and whatnot, and been on their own journey together. And it's like, nah, this is not what you do, and at that point, it was just, I think that's a key part of the story that I think a lot of people really look over, don't really like. An eye for an eye makes the world go blind, and revenge always isn't, as sweet as, you imagine it to be. And sometimes, the forgiveness is even sweeter, and I think that's what, you see Ellie struggle with that throughout the game and throughout her, her life during this game and whatnot. And it's really fascinating, her story and what she's kind of, I don't know, man. She's dark. She really is.
Yeah, it turns out they're both so determined. Let's hold on to that eye for an eye makes the world go blind for a second, because that's a great point and ties some things together here. And I lost my train of thought. Shit.
Right?
Clever though too, that those first 3 days as Ellie, when she's getting near Abby or getting warm on the trail, she's killing characters that just seem like worthless, useless, non-essential people in the game. And she kills a few dogs that she takes down. And then when you're playing as Abby, Abby's got a dog. And you realize that that's one of the dogs that as playing as Ellie, that you could care less about. There's zero attachment. There's just these raging dogs coming at you, like in any video game that happens. She kills them, And then later when you're playing as Abby, wait a second, that's Abby's dog that she was really attached to. And all of her friends, Ellie's killed. So I don't know if you had this point, Shane, but I had like an epiphany, like, wait a second. I remember killing that character.
Yeah.
And now I realize that's like Abby's friend. It didn't seem important when I killed them, because you kill a lot of people in this game. It's how video games work, right? But they end up being key components to Abby's life.
Incredibly key. And I know the ones you're talking about, Owen and Mel, and their connection and their history with Abby was like, fuck, whoa. Like, that's an awkward story in on its own. And you drop in and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're done for. You know, it's like, holy crap. Like, I love stories that kind of intertwine like that. They kind of take a, bit of a back seat, and then it kind of revolves around and then ties everything together. I love stuff like that. It's always keeps you guessing and whatnot. And exactly why I was so hooked in this game.
Yeah. And I can't tell you how important I think that perspective is, like in this game.
Thank you.
We play so many games where you mow down hundreds of dudes, and ladies. Like it's just the
Nice.
games that we play, isn't it? And there is no thought for, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. There are very few games that make you actually stop and think and think, oh, am I doing the right thing? I know a lot of people have been outraged because of what happens to Joel in this game, and people are saying, oh, it's my favourite character from the first game and all the rest of it. I didn't play a lot. I played half of the first game. It killed a lot of dudes. Like, you can dress it up however you want to dress it up, through your attachment to a character, but you still having the kind of repercussion that Joel gets in The Last of Us 2. It's so very clever that it's made people think about it. It's made people lose their shit about it and snap the disc in half and all sorts of hilarious things that you can see on the internet. But I think it's also been thought provoking and made and led people to think, oh, there are two sides to the story. And I think it's just a very clever thing that they've done in Naughty Dog when they've written that in there, because it will make people think. Hopefully, for the people of us who would give the game a chance, play it through, and think about the story objectively. With no attachment to a character just because they were your favorite character. Think about the big picture and think about what's happened. And then you realize how good a story this is and what they've done with the second one. It makes all the sense of why they've done it.
Yeah, there's no, like, when it comes to like infected or like, I use the word zombies just generally, with zombie stories. It's just a matter of running, right? Zombie stories, they're always the same. It's just, you just end up running, pack up, move, running, and you're just running. There's no riding off into the sunset, in stories like this. It's, and I like how they kind of not only recognize that, but you work with it. Nobody's riding off in the sunset in this game. Like, it just gets dark and darker and even more darker. Like, there's no hero. Like, it's you look back, and after, finishing it a few days ago, I mean, it's kind of a depressing tale in a way, the way things kind of work out, and they don't work out in a life like this. They don't, you lose people, you lose family, you lose everyone. And you see that happen, and you see it happen to a beloved character. And you don't want to see that in video games or a movie or a story. You don't. You always, you have your favorite character, your protagonist and whatnot, and that's just not what happens in this game. And it's worth playing through, especially if you played the first one. It's well, obviously, if you played through the first one, you haven't the second one. You're probably not listening to this at this point. But with so much negativity around the story, and just people shitting all over it. I mean, you've completely missed it. You've missed what's actually going on, and it's just yeah.
I don't even know if they've missed it. I think
They've missed it.
They're angry. Like, they're just. And again, it comes down to entitlement. These people, it wouldn't, unless it's the story they want. You're never going to please everybody. And Naughty Dog have made a bold decision.
I'm just going to say bold. I was going to cut you off like I always do.
I'm sure it's okay to be upset if Joel gets brutally beaten up with a golf club. Like, it's all right to accept that. And I know there's people like arguing the toss about he wouldn't have fell for that. What why is he's been why did he give him his name? Why did he do this? Why was he so easily ambushed? And you think back to the first game where he's in the car with Ellie and you're driving through and you've got that guy who's wounded and he's asking you to stop, and Joel just puts his foot down and he knows it's an ambush and he's like, I've been on both sides. I ain't falling for that. So people are like, oh, how could he fall for something? He's just saved this kid's life. He's old. Like, he's older. He's tired. And he's probably got a bit complacent. This shit happens.
Well, he's just beat down by the world. He's just beat down by the world. He is tired.
By the world.
I mean,
but at that point in the game, his relationship with Ellie isn't very good.
No.
He is brought fucking down. Like, she chops him down.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
For all the stuff. And I can see him being a lot more open and trying to do good.
But you can see it in the way it's acting.
This the thing is people completely miss, and people talking about the story, is Joel and Ellie's relationship isn't very good in this game.
You can physically see, and I know it's voice acting, but you can see in the way that the characters' expressions are and the way that it's acted, you can see how he even sounds like he's not defeated, but he's hurting and he's tired.
He's trying.
Yeah, it's not a world for.
Maybe it's that thing where it goes back around and it's like, maybe you just got to think about the positive things in the world,
It's not a world for an old man. You don't see anybody alive in this game over his age. Everybody over that age is gone. He's probably the elder person in the entire world at this point. It's not an old man's world or old woman's world anymore, with this infected and the world being pretty much over with. So he's tired. He's beat down. He's wore down. I didn't catch he wouldn't have done it that way. I understand entitled people, and I just think also there's a section here or a segment of people who are used to, and I'm in this category. I think we all are. We're used to playing through games with these superhuman, heroic style hero characters. Whether they're superhuman or they're just a regular person who feels like a superhuman, they always win. They always get the bad guy. This challenges all of what we know about video games in that way. You're not going to come out on top in this game. It's the world that they live in. Everyone is going to die. So when Joel died, I was bummed, of course, but it's like, well, everybody's dying. Everybody in this, no one's going to live a normal life like we know it right now. It's the world is a messed up, dangerous place with death around every corner. Everyone is going to die. I guess that's sort of the way I took it. It's challenging, though. It challenges what you love about video games forever. Is you're going to be attached to a character. There's going to be 15 versions of that game, and you're going to play it forever. In this game, it's like, nope, Joel's gone. So now we're on to the next thing.
Well said. Yeah.
But that's like part of why it's so difficult, I think, for some people is it's frustrating. It's like, that's not how video games work. You can't kill that guy.
But no, it's the opinion that you can't do that to my character. That's it's mine. Like that's not what I want as an individual from your IP.
Right.
And we live in the world, an age of bloody petitions and internet just idiots and people whinging about everything. And so what if it's not the book you want, the movie you wanted? If the band didn't release the album that you wanted them to release, Jesus Christ, we've been going through that for decades.
Don't even fucking.
This stuff happens. But what Naughty Dog haven't done is release a shit game. Like I ain't gonna, it's not a game I'm going to play through. I don't. Well, not maybe not for a while, but it's not crap. Like if you look at Metacritic scores for this, it's like 94 out of 100 critic reviews. And okay, take it with a pinch of salt. Critic reviews are what they are.
Yep.
User score 5.2 out of 10. Like it's clear. And if you read some of these reviews, these people are all of the phobics and pretty much illiterate. So feel free to do what you like with it, but it's not a crap game. Like it might not be the game you wanted, but maybe look at yourself if you're not capable of dealing with the story.
And there's a disgruntled employee that leaked all the, the cinematics. There's all that aspect of it, of the Sony exclusives. Like, see, told you the game is shit. It's there's all sorts of, half of the, negative shit. It's like, do you even play through it? Do you even play through it before all this shit? No, because you don't have that hands-on experience, with the game to go through the emotions, have them drawn out, and finally complete in the end.
Eye for an eye, world goes blind. These two characters are so wound up in their own revenge that they make stupid, heart-wrenching decisions. At some point in this game, I realized, like, wait a second, these two should be best friends. They're like the same person. They have the same motivations, the same desires. They should be best friends. I was hoping there was some way that the story would twist that into happening, but it didn't. It didn't happen. But the decisions that these two make destroys loved ones, destroys relationships, destroys their friends. They alienate their own factions. I mean, Abby especially. I mean, by the time we get toward the end of this game, Abby has burned every bridge possible. And the only ones that she hasn't burned, Ellie is killed. So the game ends with Ellie is with Dina, her girlfriend, who just had a baby. They got that farmhouse. They have the dream life. They're raising sheep. They had the dream situation they describe at the beginning of the game. Very happy ending-ish. At that point, I thought the game was over. I hit pause. I had record night with my guy friends, social distance record night. Like, I'm at the end, just got to watch the credits, But then Ellie can't let it go. Yes, her and Joel have a very strained relationship in this game, but she is haunted by his murder. She loves him to death. She can't let it go. She sees violent images of him getting murdered over and over in her head. So she goes after Abby again.
Abby took away the ability of Ellie forgiving Joel.
Yeah, and then she's stuck holding that ball. She can't let it go.
That's fucking heavy.
So here she goes.
Think about it. We've all had experiences. We've all, some point, somebody in our lives, like something's happened. That's pretty fucking gnarly. Like,
exactly. Like,
you know what I mean? Like
the point when Joel is ended by Abby, like you say, their relationship was not very good and all the rest. And you see that, when Eddie's kind of been pinned down and asked to watch it, you see the outpouring of emotion, and which immediately turns to anger, and she's like, "I'm going to kill you." And like you say, then it's guilt. Then it's guilt that she's sat with, like all the way through.
I kept wishing at some point they'd let it go, but they never do. They never do.
No, you can't.
You get to the end of the game and they have to battle again, and they're both like left for practically dead. They're both just ravaged by life, and Abby's captured, and she's like gaunt, malnourished, small. Her face looks shrunken. She's so gaunt looking because she was a captive. I wanted Ellie to cut her down and save her. But I knew something that Ellie didn't. I knew Abby was a great person. Ellie doesn't know that. Ellie knows that she's a murderer. Yeah. That's where you kept hoping that she would just save her. And they lead you to believe that she's kind of going to.
Right.
They both get in separate boats. They're going to take off. And she's like, I can't let you go. And then they battle again. And it's brutal. Brutal watching these two characters you love kill each other and just continue to make what I'd call a stupid decision after stupid decision for revenge. That's where I think that eye for an eye, world goes blind comment is like spot on. They just felt dumb at this point. Like your revenge is causing you to lose everything. And at the very end of the game, Ellie goes back home. They both live. Ellie goes back home to what we hope would be this, finally, it's the beautiful ending that we had a little earlier in the game before she's like, I got to go after her again. And Dina and the baby are gone. Ellie's got nothing. Both Abby's got Lev, the young boy. And Ellie's got zilch. Her girlfriend and the baby are gone. And they don't explain where they went. My takeaway is that they left because she did warn her, like, if you can't let this go, I am not going to be here at some point far earlier in the game. Like, you need to let it go. So they kind of leave you hanging. You don't know whether she got taken and killed or if she just left on her own. I guess where my head went is she left on her own, took the baby and left. But Ellie comes back to nothing, and then has a very tender flashback to Joel, their strained relationship, and how she's going to try and forgive him for saving her life and not helping the world with the immunity thing. And then it just sort of ends. And then credits, the very, very end of the credits. Beautiful moment through music.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Shane? I mean, I kind of welled up a little bit. I get a little teary-eyed at some points in this game. But when that song played at the very end of those credits, man, I was like, okay, I'm going to cry now. Beautiful music moment there. You want to talk about it?
We're Faring Stranger, which is a brilliant tune. I love that song and wasn't expecting it at all. And then that first line, like as soon as I heard the lyric, it was like, oh, yes. And it's a duet of Ellie and Joel
together.
And I don't think you could have found a better tune to kind of recap, kind of the journey that they've been on and whatnot. And it's, that was, kind of magical just hearing that. And just because I was just chilling, sitting there, just taking in everything that had happened, for the previous few hours to get through the last little bit of the game. And that kind of capped it off. And I thought that's just amazing. Really, really well done. Really, really nice.
Yeah, but kept thinking, is that Ellie singing? That sounds like the same actress. And then I hear Troy Baker's Joel's voice. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
They have their moment together.
Yeah. She's
forgiven him. They're together. Music has a pulse throughout the game because he's a guitar player. He teaches her guitar. He gets her a guitar. When she comes home to nothing, to her girlfriend and daughter, son gone, she pulls out his guitar. She looks like emotionless. She doesn't break down. She doesn't like, oh crap, they're gone, and have like this moment. She just almost like, anyway. I mean, she's so beat down by life. She's like, pulls out the guitar, plays a song that he played, that she has that flashback moment. But then she leans his guitar against the window, leaves it there, and walks away as if to almost signify like she's finally gotten past her revenge. She's ready to move on. Yeah, she's ready to let it go, which I thought was a good moment. And on his guitar, there's a moth. So lots of symbolism there with new life and darkness, that there's many imageries that the moth can bring. And she's got that tattoo on her arm with the moth. There's the moth on the guitar. Well written, man, well crafted.
Yeah.
Great game. One of the best games I've played this generation.
Same. I 100% I could agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And the symbol of the guitar itself, and it's kind of their relationship and whatnot, is I really liked how they kind of ended it, and she kind of just set it down and let it go.
Yeah.
That was, because that's all she could have done. She put herself into a situation that's like, you have to, whether you want to or not.
As a guitar player myself, like we three are, Abby bit off 2 of her fingers in her final battle. And I noticed right away, I'm like, that's on her left hand. Damn it. That's her fret. That's her fret hand. So she picks up the guitar at the end to play, and she can't even play it anymore. She's only got 2 fingers left, besides a thumb. So she can't play a full chord. She can only do like a couple half chords. And you hear
on the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
You hear the guitar being muted by the fingers hitting the guitar funny, and she lost that even. She lost being able to play the music that she loves, or that they shared.
That connection she had with Joel through the guitar.
Yep. Can't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Great chat about it. I love the game, man. I love it. When you finish it, there's like New Game Plus where you can go back through and you think your weapons are still all upgraded and everything still get a chance to get the platinum. I'm good. I don't think I need to play it a second time. But I love the story, and I don't know where they could take a third one.
No, don't.
I think it's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, just leave it.
Let her walk off into the sunset. Just be done with it.
A lot of creative folks at Naughty Dog, they'll come up with another great, story series to go on with and whatnot. But yeah,
I mean, they could easily make a game set between the two. They could easily make a game with Joel and Ellie back in it. You
can't.
I don't want them to.
But they could in between 1 and 2.
No, impossible.
I hope not, man. I think it's the 2 is.
It sounds like they need to leave it where it is.
Just like they should have left Star Wars where it was.
Where was Star Wars?
Yeah, we don't need all these other movies.
Yeah, but this is where it gets interesting, doesn't it? Because there's people who are like early 20s whose first introduction to Star Wars may have been the prequel trilogy, which was and for us and for people of our age, then you'll never beat those first 3 movies. For Shane, it'd be really interesting because if he watches all 9. And then he could be like, oh, okay, well, I liked X, Y, and Z because he's got no frame of reference. But it's all about where you get on in the journey, I suppose, isn't it? Where you kind of get that affinity to certain characters. And this seems to run through movies and video games. Some people love these new trilogy of movies. I think the characters are great. They love, they love them. Take them all with a pinch of salt, really. I don't care about any of them. I cared about my original characters because they were great characters, great actors, and that's what I wanted to see from any new movies. But time has passed, and it is what it is. But if they make offshoots of this new trilogy, I probably wouldn't be invested at all because I've no interest in what what happens after the last movie. So. Similar with the games, a lot of people played this and Joel wasn't around, so they're like, oh, it's not. This is not my Last of Us. I can't get on board with this. And I think those people just need to grow up. At the end of the day, just enjoy your games. And if you can't enjoy them, just no one needs to know. The world doesn't need to know how upset and distraught and offended you are by a movie or a game or whatever. And you'll look back on this when you're a bit older, and you'll be like, that really wasn't that important, was it?
Well, the way that the interactive medium that gaming is, the fact that you have a part in these people's lives, you feel like you are them. You get so engaged and connected to these characters. But as video games become, I mean, they already are the biggest form of media in the world. They're bigger than movies. They're bigger than books. They're bigger than music. There are movies out there that have sad stories. There's books out there that have difficult stories with bad endings.
Yeah.
It's going to happen to gaming too. You can't all be the happy ending. You can't all be the, like I said earlier, just you get to shoot all the bad guys, you get to win. Naturally, you need to have some different stories in video games. And I applaud Naughty Dog for having the balls to do this, the guts to do this. And if you don't like it, fine. That's fine. It's okay. But give them credit for what they did, for not doing the same frickin' thing that every game does.
Yeah.
For writing and that's what keeps you at the edge of your seat. That's what kept me sitting there for 2 straight days. Because it's not the same stupid tropes that I've played 1,000 times. Good. Yeah, it sucks that these characters died, but that's why the story is so good. Because you can't predict. You don't know exactly what's going to happen like I do in so many video games are predictable like this. You know what's going to happen. And it's all about the gameplay. If you want a good story in a game, you can't have it both ways. You can't also get everything you want then. If you want the story to keep you at the edge of your seat and you want the story to take some great twists and turns, think about the movie The Sixth Sense. And the first time you saw that and you get to the end and you're like, whoa, and you have that moment like that. Holy crap, now I want to watch that again. Those are good stories. Yeah. That's a story. It's taking you to a place that you didn't see it coming, but you still like the characters. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
You can't have a great story and have it be predictable. Then maybe that's not a great story then at that point, if it's the same old, same old.
You can always have the wish that it had turned out better or different for how you wanted it to turn out.
Right.
But you have to have perspective and think, okay, I can see why they did it that way. Like that does make sense. And the Naughty Dog could have released The Last of Us 2 4 years ago, and given you a generic Joel and Ellie out there again, loving life, going through the and I love Uncharted. But they've done that with Uncharted. Like, we've had Uncharted going through the mode. Look at Uncharted 3.
Yeah.
Like, Uncharted 1 was really cool because it was a bit different, bit new. Uncharted 2 was a masterpiece. Uncharted 3 was bang, average, borderline, ridiculous. And they took the time and they freshened it up a little bit with 4, which turned into a really good story. And they're kind of like sending him off, in a certain way. But even that, that game... had its knockers, when the way it started, the storyline to that. People just need to chill out. And time gives perspective. They'll look back in a few years and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I understand why they did that story.
Well, and how about having an artistic expression? It's not, we need to milk this franchise and make as much money out of this as we possibly can. So we're going to give you a milquetoast game so we can make part 3 and part 4 and part 5. Because we want $1 million billion before it's all said and done. This is more about the art format, the video game art.
There's so many series that, and people are so used to, the series of video games, 4, 5, 6, 7, sequels and whatnot. And this game just put a dagger into any sequel that was gonna ever happen. And there's not. If there is, it'd be absolutely shocking that they would, and they'd have to be fucking geniuses to pull it off. But I don't think that's gonna happen. And I'm with you. Like, no, like that's it. And that's okay. it's okay to leave a story with an open ending, or, I'm not saying with, Last of Us 2, but I'm saying it's okay to leave things open and just leave it up to imagination. It's storytelling. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be, a third game, a fourth game, a fifth game. People are so accustomed to that nowadays. And when something like this comes along and, like I said, puts a dagger in it, well, this is fucking bullshit. This isn't what I want. They're the word, and people just, and it goes from there,
I think this is why, another reason why Sony is doing so well with the PlayStation 4. You got a first party like this who can make an artistic expression at potentially the expense of more money.
Yeah.
And them letting that happen. That's awesome. I mean, kudos to Sony's, kudos to Naughty Dog. We're not worried about, now, would you see Ubisoft and EA doing this? No way. No, God, no. We need our money. Madden's not going to kill off Madden.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, they're going to make a million of these.
You're getting more Watch Dogs games to the end of time. Same with Assassin's Creed. You're always going to get a new one.
This is the benefit of a first-party studio and a company who's willing to let them take this chance on a. So kudos to, and this is why Sony's doing so well right now, because they can take those risks. They're not only concerned with money. To have the artistic expression be front and center. Brilliant. I think we've talked about this for quite a bit, right?
I think that's a good ending.
Yeah.
Another hour into the show, but it was great to chat about it.
Fun talk.
Love the game. Loved it.
Same. Very, very good.
Not sure what I'm going to play next. Might need a minute.
Ooh, right.
Do something else. Play some guitar with my 5 fingers.
Ooh, burn.
Rip.
All right, everybody. If you stuck here through this, we appreciate you. Thanks a lot. We should start a thread in Discord for spoilers, eh? Maybe put it behind a different area. If people want to chime in, you can send us an email too. That's a safe place. Or you can write a letter to that P.O. box with that old British style of English.
Yeah, get your quid out.
Let us know if you want to chat some more about this. We appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys. Nice having a beer with you again, as always. We'll be back in 2 weeks.